I have a problem. This room is so boring. It needs some art. Today I'm going to try to use an airbrush to paint a photorealistic painting of a blob sculpture that I've made. So the first step is let's take a picture of a blob sculpture to use as reference. I found this blob and I think it will be the perfect subject for our painting, so I'm going to take a photograph of it to use as reference. Once I was happy with the photo, I projected it onto a canvas and traced the basic outline. I didn't feel like trying to eyeball it onto the canvas because I wanted to make sure all of the proportions were correct. Then I pulled out the airbrush that Vivor sent to me to test out. It's a great little starter airbrush. It came in a set with 3 different ones, and I decided to use this top-filling dual action airbrush. Dual action means you can control how much air and how much paint are coming out at the same time. Then I screwed the air hose onto the airbrush and to the compressor and turned it on. Everything worked great and I got to work. So here is the basic drawing that I made. It's pretty loose and I started laying in some of the color. I realized pretty quickly that even though I've used the airbrush before, I've never used it to actually paint a painting. It was more to kind of just color something. So I kind of had to learn how to paint with an airbrush. So I thought that I would just go in and block out all of the colors first. I use this playing card to mask off the blob area versus where the table is. And here I'm just trying to get some of the basic shades in. Now I'm spraying in the mouth. It's working on the eyes. Took me a little while to figure out how to not have it spray like that. So you gotta trust the process. This was the beginning and it looked pretty horrible. But then I started masking off the areas that I want to be one specific color. So I started with the teeth and I cut them out because I wanted them to just be white but have kind of shading on the edges. So I did each tooth one at a time and painted it white, and then I painted around the edges to get the shadows. And when I took it off, it was pretty good. I did have a little bit of spillover with the masking. It took me a little while to figure that out. I also realized that it's hard to see through masking tape, so I used shipping tape, which I wouldn't recommend, but at least it's clear, so you can put it on top of your previous layer and figure it out. So this process was quite a learning issue for me, but you can see this second pass, it's getting a little closer. The big thing was that I had to continue kind of masking off pieces and layering down different amounts of color, trying to match the original photo, but also I took some artistic liberties and just, painted it. Here I'm just trying to mask off the edge so I could paint in the kind of hairy background. This definitely, I just painted what I wanted to paint. I knew I wasn't going to get a super photorealistic hair texture in the background, but I wanted to have a sort of transition between the warm light on the left side of the painting and the cooler light on the right. So here I'm pulling off the masking. You can get kind of an idea of the fuzzy background. So this was kind of midway through, and then I realized that I wanted to come through and touch up and add some little details. So the airbrush was great for getting all of the main colors in, but I added all the little cracks and highlights by hand because it was just too specific to do with the airbrush. So here it is, the final painting. I added lots of little tiny dots and things to make it look realistic, and here you go.